Ain't it great that you can show your face in the Lightmans again?
Yorkshire, now?
You're free to creep about in the Darkmans for the sake of the realm.
I'm pleased to report I handed the fake scroll back to the Krakens, and Carvelin was none the wiser. Word has it that a wealthy collector even bought it off him for a fair bit of blunt. Hard to imagine that musty old thing hanging up in some rich cove study, but there's no accounting for taste, eh? What would that Karasu think to hear his forgery's now a bleeding work of art? Meanwhile, Underfoot and the Stray can't stop yammering about raw fish and bathhouses. Seems they had a right rum time in Cougain while we were out there getting our daddles dirty. But enough about us. How do you bloody fair relate? And when are we going out for that victory pint? You can even bring along dreary old Obero if a flagon of Baderon's finest bingo can't put a smile on that lad's face. I don't know what could. Why not a sword or an axe? Well, I may have explained this a time or two before, but short blades are simply the weapons what work best for scraps in the shadows. They're light enough to run with, easily concealed, and don't get caught on all the bloody guide ropes and shipping crates what fair litter this city. Your smaller stabbers are also quick to cope with poison and lend themselves well to a rogue's swift and flowing style of fighting. If you're interested in studying up more on your dance steps, then go have a prattle with old Boshard. But I warn you, he'll talk your bloody wattles off if you let him.
All right then, Dove. Wid round the guild says you was in on the job what saved half the bloody city from sliding into the sea. Don't reckon there's aught this old cove has left to teach ye. You've learned all me dance steps, and it's up to you how you string 'em together. Hells, I expect the next time you walk in, you'll have a lesson or two for me.
Without the Fisherman's Guild, the pullers wouldn't have a place to gather and discuss issues like setting a wholesale price for fish or organising repairs for waterfront facilities. And since we started taking in foreign fisherfolk, the existence of the guild is especially important. Aside from teaching these outsiders the ways of Limsa's waters, we all get a chance to learn new tricks from one another.
You've sunk to Fisherman's Bottom. A place for fishermen. You can't go lower than here.
Our guild has a fine collection of live fish in the pool there. It's always squirming with the latest catch, you see. And when the sea's been unkind with her bounty, I just drop a line in all sneaky-like and... fine weather we're having, ain't it?
Oh, well, I must admit that the variety of the catch... Oh, well, I must admit that the variety of the catch found in Costa del Sol pales in comparison to the teeming fish markets of Limsa Lominsa. And if one were to consider the dilemmas inherent in transporting freshly caught cargo from the city, it may prove wiser to employ a fisherman directly at the manor. Do you happen to know if the guild here is willing to hire out individuals talented with line and lure?
The reopened ports got the foreign merchants flowing in, then the merchants got the people flowing in. And now Orca's Alley is overflowing again!
All vessels that make use of Limsa Lominsa's ports must submit to a cargo inspection and pay the duties incurred. Please direct all inquiries and complaints to the front desk of Mealvan's Gate.
Being a customs officer often feels like a thankless job. On any given day, a dozen strangers will accuse you of high-sea robbery. I must constantly remind myself that what I do is for the good of the nation.
All that would pass into Limsa Lominsa must first pass through Mealvan's Gate. We levy excises and disallow contraband for the welfare of the market. Trade can only be free when buyers possess the necessary assurances. Without the rule of law, the streets would be overrun by traffickers and cutthroats.
The Guild has heard word of your deeds, overcoming a crisis of unprecedented scale through brilliant stratagem and sheer strength of will. Truly, you have proven yourself every bit the tactician we believed you could be.
On one voyage not long ago, the ocean started glittering like the night sky. It wasn't stars in the waters, though. It was hundreds, if not thousands, of fish. It wasn't until after, when I was inspecting my catch, that I realised it might have been one of those spectral currents people whisper about.
Welcome to the Endeavour. Will you be boarding the ship?
I reckon there are fish out there that not even Wawalago has seen the scales of, and I mean to have every last one of them grace the decks of my ship. A beginner doesn't need to worry about catching the rarest fish, only about catching as many different fish as they can. That's the only way they'll become masters. So I always recommend a lure that'll attract a wide variety of fish. Just maybe not the most desirable ones. A true fisher must devote his entire self to the craft. We've no time for love or dalliance. The sea and its creatures are all the companionship we need.